These lectures are about grounding options. The solar array could be grounded array or floating array. It depends on if the PV positive or PV negative, they are connected to ground or not. So you normally would have these two options. You connect the PV positive or PV negative to the ground. A PV negative in the common negative system design is also battery negative. You could have negative connect to the ground, or you could have PV positive connected to the ground. It all depends on the electrical code, local electrical code, or you call them a local authority having jurisdiction, AHJ. Based on that design, you determine which to be connected to ground, or you can just leave it float. We do have some like a floating array. None of them is actually connected to the ground. However, regardless, it's a floating design or this grounded solar array. One thing for sure is certain is aluminum frame. The solar panel aluminum frame. You know, the solar panel side, you always have a small holes that's designed for you to fasten the panel down, also to connect the ground cable to the ground. And you would normally design a system with the grounding very close to the solar array where you install those panels, because this is very important. You want to make sure when in case of lightning, this high current can be conducted through the ground cable to the earth. It will not allow this high voltage to shoot through the system. If you don't have that, the chances are you would have that lightning high voltage going through the PV positive or PV negative or PS, and then further go to all the components inside the house, causing a lot of big damage. So this frame, in any case, must be connected to the ground or joined together, and then with the grounding this design based on local electrical code should be deep enough with the galvanized this metal plate with some like a special construction. Depends on the soil condition. Make sure that ground is approved based on the local building code. So that frame has to be grounded, but you have option here, common negative system, PV negative or PV positive could be grounded, but not both, okay? You just do one. But in any case, we mentioned that PS, this line, split wire, this line must never be grounded. So that's the option you can have for a common negative design. So this is a common negative design. The way it's set up, you see that it's a common negative. You got an option. You want the PV positive to be grounded, or you want the PV negative to be grounded. It's based on your design. Just remember that if it's a common negative system, you grounding PV negative means battery negative is also grounded. So that's just something you want to know. We've shown you this diagram before. Actually, this is information from the FlexMax Series 60 and 80 MPPT Solid Charge Controller Installation Manual book from the manufacturer. We talk about this is a common negative system because the PV negative and the battery negative are all connected to the negative of the bus bar. And we know this is the common negative system, but I didn't mention that this is a PV negative, a system with a PV negative to grounded. You see that? Ground bus bar here, it connecting the aluminum frame. This connected all the solar panel, this frame, to the ground bar as well, and this connected to the MPPT solar charge controller. This casing, the casing could be metal casing, is also connected to the ground, and this is a ground cable. Minimum numbers, gauge number 6 goes to the approved as a ground construction, and you see that this ground bar is also connected to the negative terminal of the system, PV negative. So this is a negatively grounded system. Based on the design, this is one of the recommended application, but some of the application, they may ask to have PV positively grounded. But you could just disconnect this ground and then connect this one to the positive. And some of the electrical code may ask for PV positive to be grounded. It can be, but you have to make sure this PV negative being disconnected. You can't have both grounded. Then you will have no power to the MPPT solar charge controller. It's all like a short circuit. And the current has to be limited by the solar panel itself and can be risky. And then the circuit breaker has to work. So just make sure you know which design you are using. You can't have both, okay? PV positive or PV negative. We talked about a common negative system, what can be grounded, but this is a common positive. This solar charge maximizing controller system, MPPT solar charge controller is also positive. This solar charge maximizing controller is also positive. So they all together with a common positive, this array construction configuration, this form a common positive solar charge maximizing controller system. The solar array here, it could be ground, it could be floating array. We mentioned that according to the local authority having jurisdiction, AHJ requirement, building code requirement, whatever it is, just remember that PS split wire, they never get grounded. They cannot be grounded. However, the aluminum frame here, aluminum frame, every panel must be interconnected and connected to the approved ground construction. So when the lightning comes, the high voltage will have somewhere to go. It will not build up the voltage, so it's shooting through the solar cables or these solar panels somewhere. The high current will go through the system and then causing a lot of damage inside. All other components can be risky without this aluminum frame being connected to the ground. It's lightning, it's constellation. So this is a common positive solar charge maximizing controller system design. Again, you have option to connect the PV negative or PV positive to the ground. You also connect it to the ground, but definitely not both, right? So this is a common positive. This slide here we shown you before. We have common positive design or common negative design, and the grounding you also have option in the common positive design, because the PV positive and then battery positive, they are already connected, and you could have that terminal grounded. In common negative design, PV negative and battery negative already bonded, already physically connected, including MPPT solar charge controller. You could have them grounded, connected. And option is that in the common negative system, you can have PV positive grounded or PV negative grounded, but not both. In a common positive design, you can have a PV negative or PV positive grounded, but not both. But in any case, PS in common positive or common negative design, the split wire, that split wire matching battery is this nominal voltage, they never to be connected to the ground because it has to be controlled by the switch inside the solar charge maximizing controller. It always gets controlled inside the solar charge maximizing controller. That PS terminal never be grounded. So just keep in mind that. So you know which part can be grounded, which part cannot be grounded. It depends on the common positive, common negative design. But no matter what, PS terminal never want to be grounded because it always gets connected to the solar charge maximizing controller and to be controlled.